Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. So in today's lesson, we will learn how to do a repetition on Scratch 2.0. Okay, so now let's move on to the last bit of our practical test 3, which is the repetition. For this lesson, I'm going to use the example that we have in our lecture note. So now let's go straight into it. First, okay, example 1. For this question, we know that, okay, so you need to create a program, which is the Scratch program, to print the KMM di hatiku for 10 times right here. Okay, so whenever we have the value for our repetitions, so this is our counter repetition, meaning we need to repeat our program for 10 times. So how to do so? Let's go to our Scratch program. For example, this example 1, so remember you need to change your sprite. Okay, just choose any sprite because we have marked for that. So I'm going to use Abby. Okay, and I'm going to change the backdrop, whatever backdrop you want to use. Okay, and next I'm just going to delete sprite 1. So now I only have Abby over here. So Abby. First, same thing as previous. So whenever you want to start this program, you need to click whether when flag is clicked or when space is pressed. Either one is fine. Okay, so now let's take a look back at the questions. It just asks you to print KMM di hatiku for 10 times. After we have this, okay, so you need to just mention, okay, so this program will do what? So print the message. Let's say I just put the word, print the message for 10 times. Okay, this part right here, the say part, is to let the user know, okay, what your program is all about. Okay, after that, we don't need to, do we have any input? No. Okay, for these questions, we don't have any input, so you don't have to use the ask or set your variable input to the answer. Now you can go straight to the repetition. Okay, in order for you to do the repetition, okay, remember 10 times right here is the value that we need to repeat. So that's why we are using counter, meaning we as a programmer already know how many times, okay, the value that we need to use in order for it to repeat itself. Okay, so in Scratch, for you to do the counter repetition, you just go to the Control tab over here. Okay, and there are two blocks that you can use for repetition. Okay, we have repeat the value here over here, or you can repeat it forever. Now we are focusing on the counter repetition, meaning we already know the value. So we will use this block, repeat 10 times block over here. Okay, so as you can see over here, the shape of the block is the same as the shape of the selection block, meaning whatever other things that you need to repeat, you have to put it inside this repeat block over here in this space. Okay, now get back to the questions. It says to repeat 10 times. So where you can change the value is over here. So if you have to repeat it for 10 times, you just insert the value 10 over here. So meaning whatever happens in here, it will repeat or it will loop for 10 times. Okay? And then the question asks you to just print the words over here, the sentence here, KMM di hatiku, part here. Okay? So you just have to put say again. Okay? Our output here. Okay, so just put the words just now is KMM di hatiku. Is it here? Okay, and we are done. That's it. Okay, so let's say if you want these are an adequate answer. For example, you just have to run it now. Okay, let's take a look. If we run the program, how it will looks like. Okay, print the message for 10 times. So now, okay, so actually it will print the message for 10 times unless, okay, because now you cannot see the difference unless you put on something else here below. Okay, let's say I'm gonna put this part over here just to make sure you can see how many times the word KMMD hatiku will be printed. Okay, let's just try it again. Okay, so now it's 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, so meaning our program is correct. So it will run for 10 times. Okay, so for your counter increment, you don't have to use, for example, in our pseudocode, we need to use the set counter to 1 and then increment back the counter. No. Okay, so for your Scratch project, it is just nice. Okay, so you just need to use the block repeat for how many times over here. Okay. Alright, so now let's proceed to our example 2. Okay, so for this example 2, it asks you to calculate and display the area of a rectangle for 5 times. Okay, so the value for our repetition is over here for 5 times. Okay, so what is our output? We need to find the area of a rectangle. Okay, so what is the formula for our area of a rectangle? So area is equals to width multiplied by length. Okay, now the difference between example 1 and also example 2. Example 1 is just print out the message. Okay, so for example 2, this question is actually what we call as sequence plus repetition. Okay, so we have a calculation that we need to do, which is this part over here. Area equals to width times length. Okay, to find the area of rectangle, the repetition is this part for 5 times. Okay, so now let's try and do it in our Scratch 2.0 project. Okay, same thing, the start of our program, Scratch program or Scratch project. Okay, next we need to say or tell the user what we need to do. So we are finding, okay, find area of a rectangle for 5 times. Okay, then now what we need to do next for these questions? Do we have inputs? We do. Okay, so our input is here. Okay, the width and the length. Okay, now my question is for this part, okay, for our input width and length, where do we want to ask it? Is it outside of the loop or inside the loop of or our repetition? Okay, so the answer is we need to put the input inside. Okay, we need to prompt or ask the user for our input inside the loop. Why inside the loop? Because we need to repeat them for 5 times. Meaning, okay, you need to ask the user again and again until 5 times. Alright, so now after we have told the user what our program or our project is all about, you just need to use the console structure repeat. Okay, now take a look back at the questions. It says to repeat for 5 times. So the value over here will be changed to 5. So we need to repeat the project for 5 times. Okay, now that we have the repetition block, what we need to put inside this block. Okay, so now it's time for us to do our variable. Okay, so we have 2 input, so we need to make 2 variable. First variable is our width, another variable is our length. Okay, remember, variable means it can be our input, it can be our process, and it also can be our output. Anything that we need to put the value inside the name of the variable, we need to make one. Okay, so after we have the variable length and also the variable width, so we need to do ask. Okay, so let's say, what's the width? Okay, and then we need to set the width to our answer over here. Okay, so now remember, we have 2 inputs, meaning we need to make sure we have 2 ask and set together. Okay, so the second ask will be what's the length. Okay, set length to answer. Okay, so this is the input. So we already asked the user for our inputs. Now take a look back at the questions. We need to display the area of a rectangle. Okay, in order for us to display the area of a rectangle, we need to do a calculation over here, which is area is equal to width times length. Okay, so long way to do it is you can make a new variable for our output. Okay, so our output must be displayed in terms of value. Okay, so in order for the computer or the Scratch to display the value, we need to have a variable as well. So you just put area over here. Okay, and then we can use this set area to the calculation. Okay, so go to the operators tab, use the multiplication. So we know just now, okay, area is equals to width multiplied by length. Okay, so now we are done at the process part. We already have the calculation. So finally, we need to display the area of rectangle. But please be mindful, okay, so we need to change the final answer into decimal places. Okay, so how? This. Okay, remember the steps that we need to do. First, okay, we're going to take this multiplication block. Okay, it will be area, okay, multiplied by 100 because we're going to change it to 2 decimal places. Then take this round block, okay, put area times 100 over here into our round block. Okay, done with that, we're going to take out the division block, put everything on the left side over here, okay, to our division block. Okay, so remember the final step, not division block inside our, not this kind of way, okay, not here, you put them inside here. No, that's wrong. You need to put everything on the left to our division block. Okay, so divided by 100 as well. Okay, so now final answer, we need to use the say hello. Okay, choose which one. It's either this one or this one. It doesn't matter as long as you use the say for our output to display the output. Okay, and then we're going to put the join hello world over here. So let's see, we're going to put area of rectangle is, okay, put everything that we have, change it to 2 decimal places inside the world. Okay, so this is the blocks that we will use, okay, that we're going to use for this question example 2. Okay, Now let's try and run this project over here. Okay, so let's say for the width, I'm going to put 3.562265. Next, for the length is 7.21. So let's take a look at our rectangle, 23.26. And then they will automatically prompt again or repeat anything that you have put inside the block. Okay, so for this part, it's going to repeat for 5 times. Okay, so now let's take a look. This is our second times repeated. Okay, so this is our area of rectangle. So now this is the third time. Let's see, I'm going to put this value, sorry. And then here, okay. And let's see, this is the fourth. Okay, so this should be the final repetition. So let's see, after this, is it going to stop asking you the width and also the length? 54.25, and then it'll stop. Okay, so that's how you use the repeat block in order for you to answer the counter repetition. Okay, so this is example 2. So now let's proceed to the example 3. Okay, so for example 3, it asks you to print the message you are entitled to vote, okay, for 10% whose age is above 20. Okay, if you notice this question, this is not in our lecture note for repetition, but it actually similar to the question in our selection note. Okay, first of all, let's detect how many times do we need to repeat our program. Okay, so the repetition that we know is over here, 10%, meaning you need to repeat the questions for 10 times. Okay, next, if you take a look at the answer, it has a conditions right over here. Okay, age is above 20. So it is different from our example 1 and example 2. Now, for this question, it is actually a selection plus with repetition. Okay, the selection is this part. Okay, for age is above 20, we will print this message. Okay, so if it's not above 20, no message will be printed, and the repetition is for 10%. So if you take a look, the condition is only this part. Okay, meaning this is our if selection. Okay, there's only one condition for you to have the message you are entitled to vote. Okay, if you don't achieve the condition, nothing will be outputted. Okay, so now let's try and do it in our Scratch project. Okay, so I'm going to use when flag is clicked, and then, okay, just mention print the message, okay, for 10 times, for 10 persons, if age above 20. Okay, so now, so we know they're only going to display the message. Okay, so do we have our input? Yes, we do, which is the age. Age over here is our input. Okay, so remember, you need to know if we want to find, okay, to determine whether they achieve the conditions or not, you have to ask the user for their age inside the loop, meaning that we will ask the age for 10 times. Okay, so now after we told the user what our program is about, we can use the control structure repeat. Okay, so how many times? 10. So we're going to just change this part over here for the value for our repetition. Okay, it is the same thing as what we do in selection and sequence. The difference is you need to add this block, okay, that will automatically repeat for the value that needed in the question. Okay, so now we're going to do a variable, okay, an input variable, which is the age. Okay, so I'm going to use age for the name of our variable. Okay, and then we can ask the user, what's your age? Then set age to our answer. Okay, so now we are done with the input. Now take a look at our process. Okay, so this question is if selection, meaning we have a condition. The condition is you need to make sure the age is above 20. Whenever we have a selection, we need to make sure we use the control structure for the selection over here. So we have the if block or if else. Okay, so for this question, which block are you going to use? The if block or the if else block? The answer is to use the if block right here. Okay, so where do you want to put this if block and why are you using this if block? Okay, so first let's take a look at why. Okay, the question is only if. Okay, there is only one if in these questions, meaning if it's achieved, then it will print the message. If it's not achieved, nothing will happen. Okay, it doesn't tell you what will happen, otherwise nothing. Okay, so that's why we are going to use the if block only. Okay, so for the if block, same thing. Okay, we need to put it inside our repeat block. Okay, so our repeat block is starting from here until over here. So remember, put them inside this if block. You need to understand why we are putting it inside. Okay, it's going to repeat. Okay, now take a look at what is the condition. It says age is above 20. So we're going to use the operator more than, put it here. Okay, so left side is for age. So what the condition is, make sure it is above 20. Okay, so if it's above 20, then it will display the message, which is you are entitled to vote. Okay, you are entitled to vote over here. Right, so this is the answer, okay, for the example 3. Now let's try and run this project. Okay, first I'm going to try to put 24. Okay, so if it's 24, the final answer should be, it will display the message. Okay, so yes, it says you are entitled to vote. Now, you see, it's already repeating it for the second time. Now, for the second time, let's say I'm putting my age as 19. It should be nothing. Nothing will be displayed on the screen. Nothing. Okay, it's automatically ask you again. So this right here right now is the third time it's repeating the project. Okay, so let's say I put 56. You are entitled to vote. Okay, so now this is the fourth time it asks the user for the age. So I'm going to put 12. Nothing. Okay, last time. So after this, if I'm putting my age, it shall stop asking the user for age. So let's see, I'm putting 44. You are entitled to vote, and it will, oh no, it shouldn't stop. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It is for 10 times, it's not for 5 times. My bad, okay? It will ask until 10 times for it to stop. Okay, so now it will stop after it finish repeating for 10 times. Okay, so that is on example number 3.